At our New Year's Eve dinner, my relatives were ganging up on me. They laughed at me for being a bookworm. They were busy praising my cousin David, who'd been working for years and had already established himself at a major corporation. As luck would have it, the female CEO of my cousin's company happened to be walking past our private dining room. David excitedly greeted her, "Ms. Evans." A moment later, the CEO, with her commanding presence, walked in. Oh no, it was my ex-girlfriend. I was so scared, I immediately stood up ready to make a run for it. But she stopped me. "Hey there, kiddo. What are you running from? Got a guilty conscience?" I remembered the day we broke up. I had asked her what 1 + 1 equals. She had confidently answered 2. I told her she was too smart and that I preferred my girlfriends a little dumber. Then I promptly blocked her, deleted her number, the whole 9 yards. I never imagined our reunion would be under these circumstances. She narrowed her eyes, looking me up and down. "Hey there, kiddo. What are you running from? Got a guilty conscience?" I was so embarrassed I could feel my toes curling inside my shoes. "No, not at all, Ms. Evans, hello." "Humph," she snorted, completely ignoring the desperate pleading looks I was shooting her way. "Sit down," my mom yelled. "Leo, you're being so jumpy. It's incredibly rude." She had an expression that screamed, "This son of mine is such an embarrassment." I had no choice but to sit back down. After that little interruption, my aunt enthusiastically addressed Elizabeth. "Ms. Evans, why don't you sit down and join us for dinner? Our family really wants to thank you for recognizing David's potential these past 2 years." I secretly shook my head. My aunt was really getting ahead of herself. This woman is a total germaphobe. There was no way she'd be willing to eat with us. All right, a completely unexpected answer. I looked up just in time to see a slight smile playing on Elizabeth's lips. Her eyes filled with amusement. She walked over and sat down in the empty chair next to me. My aunt quickly flagged down a waiter to bring another menu, ready to order more food. My cousin David, with a sycophantic smile, unwrapped a new set of silverware for Elizabeth. She smiled and asked me, "What's your relationship to David?" Before I could answer, David answered for her. "Ms. Evans, he's my cousin, just a nerd, hasn't seen much of the world, don't mind him." As soon as he finished, my aunt chimed in. "That's right, Leo's in his late 20s and still in school. He studied his brain to mush. When he saw you grace us with your presence just now, he was so scared he actually tried to run away. He has no manners at all. He's a disgrace to the Williams family." My aunt shot me a contemptuous glare and then, "My David isn't like that at all. His people skills are impeccable, and he has the privilege of working under you, Ms. Evans." Elizabeth frowned slightly, ignoring her and turning to me. "Are you still in grad school?" "Yeah, my final year." I turned my head away, unable to meet her gaze. "What school do you go to?" she pressed. I ignored her, hoping to just get past the question, but my mom jumped in and answered for me. "Ms. Evans, he's at NYU studying jewelry design." I completely froze. The lies I had told Elizabeth were being exposed. I nervously turned my head only to see a cold smirk on Elizabeth's face. She leaned in and questioned me in a low voice. "Leo, how many words of what you've told me were actually true?" While I was still in a daze, she stood up and announced loudly, "After you graduate, come work at my company. We happen to have a new project that needs a manager." David shot to his feet. "Ms. Evans, are you talking about the Sterling project?" "That's the one." Elizabeth nodded. David's expression soured. "Ms. Evans, you can't be serious, can you? Wasn't I already chosen to lead that project? How can Leo, a student who hasn't even graduated, be put in charge?" Elizabeth walked over to David, patted his shoulder, and said with a cold smile, "I've just realized that with your people skills, you're much better suited for the front desk. Our company only has female receptionists at the moment. We don't have a male one. Moving you there will fix that." Elizabeth turned on her high heels and strode coolly out of the room. She left our entire family standing there in awkward silence. My aunt turned to me, her expression grim. "You know Miss Evans?" Feeling guilty, I quickly shook my head. "No, I don't." David sat back down, looking completely stunned, clearly still processing what had just happened. His whole life he's been the pride of the Williams family, the kid everyone else was compared to, but Elizabeth's move just now had clearly dealt him a heavy blow. After all, before Elizabeth showed up, the entire theme of this dinner had been praising David and tearing me down. My mom then offered some well-intentioned comfort to David. "David, don't feel too bad. Even though you've been moved to the front desk, It's still the front desk of a major corporation. You're still an employee of a major company after all. It's nothing to be ashamed of. The expressions on all my relatives' faces suddenly turned awkward. My dad shot my mom an angry glare. Will you shut up? Can't you see David is upset? The dinner quickly and unpleasantly came to an end. Everyone found an excuse to leave. I wasn't in a hurry to go. I packed up some of the leftover chicken. I planned to feed it to the stray cat I'd been secretly taking care of in my apartment complex. Once I was done, I walked out of the room and ran right into a soft wall. Oof! It was Elizabeth. She took a step forward, forcing me back into the room. She came inside and shut the door behind her. Ms. Evans, what are you still doing here? Her stare was so intense I could barely get the words out. She looked me up and down, before trying to run away, dumping me for such a ridiculous reason, and then disappearing off the face of the earth. I was so embarrassed I wished the ground would swallow me whole. 2 years ago, I had asked her, what does 1 plus 1 equal? She, 2. I said, correct, you know too much, I prefer my girlfriends a little dumber. And then I just blocked and deleted her. I can't even bear to think about it. It was just too absurd. Ms. Evans, I'm sorry. Humph. Is sorry supposed to fix everything? You're an emotional con artist. You should be in jail. I admit, I lied to you about a lot of things back then, but we really weren't a good match. Why not? My great-grandmother came to me in a dream. She said our stars are crossed, and that being with you would lead to a bloody disaster. She moved in close, grabbed me by the collar, and glared. Leo, if you feed me one more line of crap, I'll make you see stars, and we can test that bloody disaster theory right now. A chill ran down my spine, and I didn't dare run my mouth anymore. I looked down and met her captivating eyes, which I hadn't seen in so long. Even though they were cold right now, in my mind they started to merge with the enchanting eyes I remembered from 2 years ago. Back then, in a dimly lit room, she had grabbed my collar just like this. Her warm fingers would trace patterns on my chest, slowly stoking the fire inside me. When she was turned on, her cheeks would flush, and in moments of passion those eyes of hers would become hazy and utterly mesmerizing. It drove me wild. The more I thought about it, the more worked up I got. I quickly shook my head to clear it and swallowed hard. Ms. Evans, whatever the case, we've already broken up. Let's just go our separate ways amicably. Just then my mom called. Leo, you didn't come home? Are you planning on sleeping on the street on New Year's Eve? No, I'm on my way back now. I hung up and looked at her. Stuck. My mom's calling me home. She let go of me, took a step back, and said, you can go, but you're adding my number back right now, and give me your home address. What? What do you mean what? We are not finished. If you ever dare to block me or disappear again, I will show up at your front door, she threatened, pointing a finger right at my nose. I had no choice. Under her pressure, I had to unblock her number. Then I typed my home address into the chat window, ready to send it. Be honest. Don't you dare try to fool me with a fake address again. My face flushed. I quickly deleted the fake address I'd typed and put in the real one. Damn it. I couldn't lie to her anymore. Seeing the address I sent, Elizabeth nodded in satisfaction as she left. She shot me one last glare, its meaning perfectly clear. A little over 2 years ago, I was preparing for a national jewelry design competition. David, out of jealousy, destroyed all the files for my design proposal. All my hard work went down the drain. In a fit of anger, I didn't go home for the holidays that year. Instead, I went on a road trip by myself. I didn't expect to get caught in a blizzard and ended up stranded on the highway. So was Elizabeth. So we ended up spending New Year's Eve together in my car. After we were finally rescued, we were put up in the same hotel. One thing led to another, and it felt like fate. We were attracted to each other, so we started dating. At the time, I didn't think a romance that started so suddenly could ever last. On top of that, because of my family background, I didn't even dare to be my true self with her. Of course, back then I didn't know who she really was either. I just knew she was this beautiful older woman who seemed cool and distant on the outside, but was completely different underneath. She was a germaphobe and a bit of a control freak. Every night she made me sing to her to help her fall asleep, and it had to be the same song. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. I had to keep singing until she was asleep. After a few months of singing, twinkle, twinkle, little star, I just couldn't take it anymore. Plus, the semester was starting and I had to get back to my studies, so I broke up with her. I treated it all like a dream, never expecting to see her again in my life. When I got back to my apartment building, I received an iMessage from Elizabeth. It's been a while since I've heard you sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Remember to call me later and sing it for me. I shook my head with a wry smile, put my phone away, and headed upstairs. As soon as I opened the door, I saw my dad sitting there with a grim expression. The moment he saw me, he shot up, his tone hostile. Don't even bother taking off your shoes. You're coming with me to your uncle's house right now to apologize to David and your aunt. I froze for a second, then ignored him and kept taking off my shoes. Smack! He slapped me across the face. My left cheek was instantly burning. Are you deaf? Didn't you hear what I said? Go apologize to your aunt and her family, or you can forget about celebrating the new year in this house. I looked at his cold, indifferent eyes and couldn't help but sneer. You should have said so earlier. If you had, I wouldn't have bothered coming back at all. You. My dad was so furious he raised his hand to hit me again. Just then, my mom walked over and said in a sarcastic tone, "Since you hate Leo so much, why don't you just adopt David as your son?" That's right, I don't like him. If it weren't for him, would Ms. Evans have embarrassed David? He ruined the holiday for the whole family. Yep, that's my dad. Anyone who didn't know better would think I was the son of his mortal enemy. He's never liked me, not since I was a kid. I really didn't get it. Back in middle school, I even talked to some of my friends about it. They all said that no parent doesn't love their child, so it must have been something I was doing wrong to make him hate me. But I thought about it for a long time and could never figure out what I did to make him so unhappy. I couldn't be bothered to waste my breath on him. I just turned around and opened the door. I'm leaving. It's not like I'm dying to spend the holiday here anyway. Leo, you get back here. Do you think? Slam. The door slammed shut, cutting off his yelling. I hurried downstairs and out of the building. I pulled out my phone and opened a map app, looking for a hotel to stay in for the night. Leo, I heard Elizabeth's voice. I turned around and saw her getting out of a Range Rover, heels clicking on the pavement. What are you doing out here? She walked up to me, took one look at my face and asked, "What happened to your face?" My face? I accidentally walked into a wall. I lied, then quickly changed the subject. Ms. Evans, what are you doing here? I was afraid you'd lied to me again, so I followed you to make sure the address was real. She said this while looking at me with a complicated expression. I felt a little awkward. I mean, I had a track record. It was perfectly normal for her not to trust me. The address is real, but I don't think I'll be staying here anymore. Where are you going? I was quiet for a moment. I'll find a hotel for tonight. I'll figure the rest out tomorrow. Her eyes lit up and she said, leaving no room for argument, "Why stay in a hotel? You're coming to my place." After her identity as a CEO was revealed, Elizabeth stopped holding back. She took me to her villa. Back when we were dating, I'd only ever been to her penthouse apartment, which I was already envious of. Now I was just completely stunned. The living room of this villa was at least twice the size of my entire family's apartment. The decor was minimalist but luxurious, exuding a sense of high-class taste. When I snapped out of it, I looked down and realized I was wearing one slipper and one sneaker. It was a little awkward. She noticed too and just smiled, shaking her head. Then she handed me a pair of slippers. "Change into these. I'll go run you a hot bath. You should take a shower first." I hesitated. "What about your family?" "Don't worry. This is my private villa. I live here alone." She turned to look at me and gave a bitter smile. I got into another fight with my mom, so this New Year's Eve I'm spending it alone. I froze for a second, my mind flashing back to that night 2 years ago. New Year's Eve, we were stranded on the highway. I had some beer and snacks in my car, so I invited her to join me for a simple New Year's Eve meal. She asked me why I was out on the road on New Year's Eve. I said, "I had a falling out with my family. There's no point in going home for the holiday." Her eyes lit up. What a coincidence, me too. My parents and all those relatives don't like me. My dad's gone, and my mom has her own life. I'm just an extra. Heh, if you put it that way, I guess I'm an extra too. We talked about nothing in particular, and then somehow we both started crying, and then she kissed me. In a complete daze, I lost my first kiss. "Elizabeth, you." She shushed me. Through her tears, her eyes suddenly held a seductive glint. "Don't talk, just kiss me." After that, we naturally became a couple, our own little team. Redundant. "Leo, I left a change of clothes for you on the bed. Elizabeth's voice called from outside the door. I turned off the water, dried off, and peeked through a crack in the door, seeing no one was there. I stepped out. After showering and changing into the fresh clothes she'd left for me, I felt much better. When I got to the living room, Elizabeth was already there waiting for me with a few cans of beer. "Want a drink?" she offered. I walked over and grabbed a beer. "Just drinking? What else did you have in mind?" She licked her red lips and gave me a wink. Startled, I quickly popped open my beer and took a couple of gulps to calm my nerves. "So about your face, David didn't hit you, did he?" I paused, looked at her, and shook my head. "No, it was my dad." "What? Your dad? What?" She looked surprised, then her eyes narrowed. "Was it because of what happened with David?" I didn't say anything, which was answer enough. "I'm sorry. I lost my temper, and I shouldn't have put your cousin down in front of your whole family like that." I waved it off. "It's not your fault. That was just the spark. The real problem isn't you. The root cause is that my family just doesn't like me. They love David, and they want him to succeed. My only purpose, it seems, is to make David look good by comparison. When we were kids, David would bully me, and my dad always took his side. David was upset. My dad would blame me. I once asked him why he treated David better than me. My dad said, "It's what I owe his family. If your uncle hadn't worked to put me through school, I wouldn't be where I am today. I owe your uncle, which means you owe David. You have to be good to him. Your cousin is so outstanding. How could you even think of comparing yourself to him?" Of course I was upset, but I didn't know how to argue back. My mom doesn't love me either. Her relationship with my dad is terrible, and she's always believed he's in love with my aunt. They grew up together, and my dad treats David better than his own son. She's not just angry with my dad and my aunt. Sometimes she takes her anger out on me. When David deleted my files and ruined my chances at the design competition, when I caught him, my dad tried to cover for him, like he always did. But my mom ignored my dad and insisted that David face the consequences. In the end, my aunt had to beg my mom with tears in her eyes to forgive David before my mom finally let it go. Ever since then, whenever my aunt gets into an argument with my mom brings it up. It's like her ultimate weapon. The moment she uses it, my aunt just deflates. My painful experience became a tool for her to win arguments against my aunt. Thinking about all this, I couldn't help but feel suffocated. Before I knew it, Elizabeth and I had finished a whole case of beer. Elizabeth was sitting beside me, my head was spinning. I asked her, "Elizabeth, after all the lies and the way I broke up with you, do you hate me?" "Of course I do. I hate your guts." I woke up the next day, and it was already noon. Elizabeth was nowhere in sight. I remembered her saying, "I hate your guts," last night. So I quickly changed back into my clothes and bolted. I didn't even go back to my parents' place. I went straight back to campus. Few out-of-state staff and students stay on campus over the holidays for personal reasons, so I was able to get into my dorm. The cafeteria food was still mediocre, but eating there felt a lot more liberating than that New Year's Eve dinner at home. A few days later, I was back in my usual routine, hiding in my dorm bed reading a novel. Suddenly, I got a text from the dorm supervisor telling me to come downstairs. A girl was here to see me. I was completely baffled. I couldn't imagine which student would be looking for me. When I got to the lobby, I saw Elizabeth sitting in the reception area, dressed in black stockings and high heels. I was completely floored. "Seriously? Elizabeth, how did you find me here?" "Ms. Evans, you were looking for me?" I asked with an awkward smile. "Yes," she said, her face blank and her voice cold. "Is there something I can help you with?" I asked, feeling a little guilty. "I'm thinking about finding a cage and locking you in it," she said, her voice suddenly sharp. I knew she was calling me out for running away again. I didn't run off on purpose. I had to get back to school to work on my thesis project. I lied through my teeth. She didn't argue, just nodded. "Fine, work hard on it. And when you're done, you're coming to my company for an internship. Once you graduate, I'll offer you a full-time position, got it?" I was intimidated by her powerful aura and quickly agreed. "Got it." After a moment's hesitation, I asked, "Ms. Evans, why are you so insistent on me working at your company?" Remembering what she'd said that night, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was her way of getting revenge on me. By getting me into her company, she could keep an eye on me whenever she wanted. But a smile played on her lips. "Because I see potential in a talented student like you. Of course, my company is partnering with the Sterling Group, and we're planning to launch a new subsidiary in the jewelry sector. Leo, I have very high hopes for you." Looking at her sincere expression, I was actually, damn it, moved. One day, I had just finished my interview and was walking out of a small conference room at Elizabeth's company. As I approached the reception desk, David came over. He was smiling. "Leo, you're not actually planning on working here, are you?" "I am. Just passed the interview. Looks like we'll be colleagues soon, Mr. Receptionist." David's smile instantly froze on his face. "Leo, what are you so smug about? You think you've got it made just because you're sleeping with the CEO? Let me tell you, Miss Evans already has a boyfriend. You're just the other man." I burst out laughing. "Why are you getting so worked up? Don't tell me you're her boyfriend." David laughed too. "You don't have to be so sarcastic. If you don't believe me, I can take you to the company cafeteria and show you." With that, he dragged me toward the company cafeteria. On the way, I saw how nice and clean the cafeteria was, and I found myself looking forward to eating here once I started working. The food had to be better than my university's dining hall, right? Just then, I saw Elizabeth in the distance. Sitting with her was a fair-skinned guy with blonde hair and glasses. I looked at the guy, feeling like I'd seen him somewhere before. "That's Ms. Evans' boyfriend," David said smugly. "See that? He's even peeling grapes for her." I took a closer look. That guy's technique is terrible." "Huh?" David looked at me, confused. "He's not peeling those grapes right. He's tearing off half the fruit with the skin. What a waste. His hands look nice, but they're clearly not made for peeling things." David's face stiffened and he said urgently, "Leo, you don't have to pretend to be so calm in front of me. You know perfectly well that she's not going to give up a tall, handsome, rich guy like that for you." I felt a sharp sting in my chest, but I kept my face neutral. "Oh yeah, you're right." With that, I turned to leave. "Well, Mr. Receptionist, I'm heading out. See you around." It wasn't until I got home that I remembered who the blonde guy with glasses was. He was a senior in my department, a guy named Alexander Shaw. I'd seen him around campus a few times. He was one of those rich kids who drove a supercar to class. Even my roommate had sighed about it more than once. If I had a Lamborghini, I wouldn't be single. Looking at it that way, he and Elizabeth really did seem like a much better match, and I was just the ugly duckling. My family background made it hard for me to believe that I was worthy of being loved. I used to hope for my parents' love, but they shattered that hope time and time again. I also witnessed their loveless marriage. Over a year ago, I realized I was falling deeper and deeper for Elizabeth. I felt an instinctive fear, a fear of the future. I never had the confidence that I could truly have Elizabeth's love. But her love for me was so intense, I was afraid that over time she would get bored of me, or that we would end up like my parents. I couldn't accept the idea of our beautiful love story ending that way, so I chose to end it when things were at their best. That way, at least I would still have the beautiful memories. I ran away. I was a coward. But then, against all odds, we met again. It made me start to wonder if maybe we were fated to be together. But then, seeing her with her boyfriend Alexander, crushed that fledgling hope. It was for the best. I was never good enough for her anyway. It was better to stop having such unrealistic fantasies. Or maybe this was her revenge for how I deceived her. March. First thing in the morning, she sent me a good morning text. I didn't reply. Later that morning, she texted again. "Are you free today at noon?" She sent me another text, just a question mark. I was getting annoyed, so I just blocked her number again. But I couldn't stop thinking about her, so I went to the basketball court to clear my head. Working out always helped me temporarily forget all my worries. I played until evening, then headed back to my dorm with my basketball. But as soon as I walked in, I saw Elizabeth sitting in the lobby. The moment she saw me, she shot to her feet and stormed over. "What is your problem? Did you block me again?" I took a startled step back and asked through gritted teeth, "Ms. Evans, what do you want?" She stared right into my eyes. I couldn't meet her gaze and looked away. "What did I do to upset you this time? Why did you block me again?" "It's nothing. I was just stressed out, so I went to play basketball." "Stressed?" She frowned, looking like she wanted to say more but held back. Finally, she said, "Go change. You're having dinner with me tonight." "I don't want to." I was about to refuse, but then she said, "I already made a reservation at the Lunar Banquet. You always said you wanted to try that place." Rumble. My stomach betrayed me with a loud growl. I swallowed hard and said through gritted teeth, "I'm not going to dinner all sweaty. Wait for me. I'm going to take a quick shower." I figured, since she already had a boyfriend, there was no chance for us anyway. This might be my last chance to get a free meal out of her, And after playing basketball all afternoon, I was genuinely starving. I didn't hold back with Elizabeth. I ordered a ton of food and dug in. She barely ate, just sat there watching me. Every now and then she'd put more food on my plate. Open up. She peeled a shrimp, dipped it in sauce, and held it up to my mouth. I let her feed me. Is it good? I hesitated for a second, then nodded. It's delicious. It really was good. It's a shame. If I hadn't seen her with Alexander, I probably would have been moved to tears. Full and satisfied, I got into her yellow Maserati GT. The cool breeze blowing in felt amazing. No wonder people love going for drives in supercars, I thought. She was taking me back to campus, but instead she pulled up in front of her villa. I looked at her, confused, but she unbuckled her seat belt, swayed her leg over the center console, and settled onto my lap. Before I could even react, her lips were on mine. I was stunned for a long moment before I finally processed what was happening. I shoved her away and wiped my mouth with the back of my hand. Elizabeth, don't you think you're going too far? She looked at me, surprised. Leo, what's wrong? I was wrong to lie to you. I get that you hate me for breaking up with you so suddenly. I understand if you want to get revenge on me. That's fine. But how is this fair to your boyfriend? I glared at her, breathing heavily with indignation. Huh? She looked completely baffled. What boyfriend? Huh? Are you still going to play dumb with me? I sneered. I saw you the other day. You were in the company cafeteria with that blonde guy. He was even peeling grapes for you. How sweet. Though his technique was terrible, he ruined most of the grapes. FFFT. Ha ha ha. She burst out laughing. I was furious. Elizabeth. So you admit it? Leo, what makes you so sure he's my boyfriend? Elizabeth asked, smiling. I asked her. If I'm not mistaken, that was Alexander Shaw, right? Elizabeth looked a little surprised and nodded. Yes, you know him? I shook my head. He's a senior in my program. I know who he is, but he probably doesn't know me. A rich kid who drives a supercar to class. If he's not your boyfriend, why would he be peeling grapes for you? She smiled, moved back into the driver's seat, and buckled her seat belt. Ah, so little Leo was jealous. That explains why you suddenly blocked me again. With that, she started the car. 10 minutes later, the car pulled up in front of another villa on the south side of town. She got out, opened the gate, and led me to the front door of the house. After she rang the doorbell, an impatient male voice called out from inside. Who is it this late at night? The blonde guy with glasses opened the door wearing pajamas. Huh? What are you doing here? Elizabeth pointed at me and said to him, Hey, could you please explain our relationship to him? The blonde guy looked at me, then back at Elizabeth. All right, so you finally got a boyfriend? He waved at me. Hey, I'm Alexander. I'm her brother. My eyes went wide. What? Yep, her half-brother, same mom. I looked at Elizabeth and she nodded to confirm. My mom had him after she remarried. After explaining, she turned to Alexander with a smile. He saw us eating in the company cafeteria the other day and thought you were my boyfriend. Oh, and by the way, he also said your grape peeling skills are terrible. Alexander and I looked at each other and shared an awkward laugh. Hey man, I'm Leo. I'm also in the jewelry design program at NYU. No way. What a coincidence. We started making small talk until a sweet female voice called from inside the house. Alexander. Honey, are you done yet? Oh, it seemed we were interrupting something important. We left the yard and got back into the Maserati. She looked at me with a grin. So, Leo, are you still mad at me? My face flushed. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. So how are you going to make it up to me? She gave me a seductive look and licked her lips. I swallowed hard, my breath quickening. Without another word, she leaned in and kissed me, her soft, sweet tongue exploring my mouth. We didn't stop until we'd gone through the entire alphabet. She leaned close to my ear again. You're not going back to campus tonight, are you? I hesitated for a second, then said, Okay, but this time I get to be on top. However, Elizabeth, that wicked woman, went back on her promise. She completely wore me out from on top, and after we were finished, she still made me sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star to her until she fell asleep. When I woke up the next day at noon, my entire body was aching. You're awake. She was lying on my chest, looking up at me with a smile. I blinked sleepily, looked around and yawned. The events of last night slowly came back to me. You're a wild woman. You completely exhausted me. She pinched my cheek with a wicked grin. That's what you get for misunderstanding me and blocking my number. Consider it your punishment from your master. I gave a helpless wry smile. She always did love to roleplay. By the way, what made you go to the company cafeteria in the first place? She asked. David took me. David? Him again. The smile vanished from Elizabeth's face. Isn't he your cousin? Why is he always giving you such a hard time? It was the same at your family's New Year's dinner. He humiliated you right in front of me, a complete stranger. I sighed helplessly and proceeded to tell Elizabeth everything about my family. I told her how my family had never liked me ever since I was a kid, how my dad adored David and despised me, how my mom always used me as a weapon in her fights with my dad and my aunt. The reason I lied to you before is because my family situation is just so messed up. I didn't dare tell you. It's also why I broke up with you. I had no confidence in our future. I was afraid that if you knew the truth about my family, you would leave me. So I figured it was better to end things when they were perfect, so at least we'd have the good memories. Elizabeth's eyes grew misty. Oh, Leo, you poor thing. But don't you worry, I don't care about any of that, and you don't have to care what they think either. They don't like you, but I do. I paused for a second, then asked, but didn't you say you hated my guts? Oh, you idiot. She gave me a light smack and rolled her eyes. Of course I was just saying that because I was angry. As long as you promise not to block me again, and not to just run away without a word, I will always love you. Damn it, this wicked woman, Elizabeth, had gone and made me feel all emotional again. With the misunderstanding cleared up, I soon began my internship at Elizabeth's company. The company really was planning a new project in the jewelry sector. Since I was new and had a lot to learn, she assigned a senior employee to show me the ropes. Within a few days, I started noticing a lot of my coworkers whispering and pointing at me. I was confused. Was I dressed wrong? Did I do something to offend them? Before long, I overheard some coworkers talking about me in the cafeteria. Did you hear that new intern is Ms. Evans' boy toy? I heard. Who in the entire company doesn't know by now? Humph. At first I thought he was some top student from NYU, but it turns out he just got the job through connections. Who cares if he's a top student? He's still just Ms. Evans' side piece. I took out my phone, hit record, and walked over to them. Gentlemen, you seem to know a lot about Ms. Evans' personal life. Who told you I was her side piece? They froze, exchanged a look, and then one of them said, everyone in the company knows. Are you really going to pretend you're innocent? Yeah, David told everyone Ms. Evans has a handsome blonde boyfriend. You knew she was taken, but you still seduced her just to get a job here through connections. I knew it. It was David again. I held up my phone. You two should stop spreading rumors. I've recorded everything. You and David can take it up with Ms. Evans and see how that goes. The color drained from their faces. I ignored them and took the recording straight to Elizabeth. That's right. I had no intention of letting David and his big mouth get away with it. His jealousy had already cost me my design competition entry once. I had let it slide before because of family pressure, but I wasn't going to let him off the hook this time. Elizabeth had HR fire David immediately and posted an announcement in the company-wide chat. She clarified that David had been spreading false rumors about her. After the truth came out, the office gossips all came to apologize to me. I didn't blame them, to be honest. I kind of felt like I'd gotten the job through connections too. I mentioned my concerns to Elizabeth. She reassured me. I told you before, I hired you because you're a talented jewelry design student. They might doubt you now, but I believe your talent will shut them up soon enough. Besides, it's not like our company has a rule against office romances. You don't need to worry about what they think. It's not important. For years you've been so worried about what other people think that you've forgotten about yourself. That's why you've been so unhappy. Hearing her say that, I thought about my past, and it seemed she was right. I nodded. From now on, I'm going to live for myself. Good. I'm glad to hear you say that. As she spoke, she handed me a set of car keys. What's this for? I asked, confused. Elizabeth grinned mischievously. They love to gossip, right? From now on, you can drive me to work every day. That'll really give them something to talk about. I've been meaning to give you this car for a while. I've just been so busy lately it slipped my mind. I looked at the Trident logo on the key fob and swallowed hard. It was a Maserati. I took the keys and my thoughts turned to the stray cat I'd been taking care of near my old apartment. Now that my life was turning around, I couldn't just forget about him. Elizabeth, can we have a cat at the house? I was secretly taking care of a stray near my old place. Her expression immediately turned awkward. I knew she was a germaphobe and wasn't a big fan of animals. After a moment of silence, she nodded. If you like him, then bring him here. If it's too much, we can always have him stay in the yard. That's true. Your yard is huge. We could raise a whole litter of cats out there, not just one. With Elizabeth's permission, I immediately drove the Maserati to the store and bought a pet carrier, cat food, a litter box, and everything else I'd need. Early the next morning, I drove back to my old neighborhood to pick up my cat, but I ran into my dad downstairs. David lost his job. Was that your doing? He confronted me the moment he saw me. Seeing the dark look on his face, I felt a surge of anger. He was spreading rumors about the CEO. It's perfectly normal for him to get fired for that. My dad pointed a finger at me and yelled, "Don't try to deny it. David said it was because you snitched on him to Ms. Evans that he lost his job." I shot back at him, "Humph. So what if I did? If he hadn't been spreading lies, there would have been nothing for me to report. Tell him to stop blaming everyone else for his problems and take a look at himself for once and stop taking it out on me every time he's upset. If you feel so bad for him, go give him a hug and make him feel better." After I said it, I couldn't help but laugh. It had been like that since we were kids. Whenever David was unhappy, my dad would make sure I was unhappy too. If David bullied me, my dad would assume I had started it. If David went crying to him, he'd get taken to the store for a treat. As for me, I was lucky if I didn't get hit. Smack! My dad, furious, slapped me across the face. I was dazed for a second. I shook my head, and the ringing in my ears faded slightly. I put down the pet carrier and punched my dad square in the jaw. AC. He stumbled and fell to the ground, looking at me in utter disbelief. I just glared back at him. I had decided to live for myself from now on, and I wasn't going to tolerate his baseless abuse anymore. He held his face, stunned for a long moment before he recovered. He scrambled to his feet looking like he was about to come at me again. I clenched my fists and raised them in a defensive stance, ready to fight back. A few neighbors who were passing by stopped to watch the commotion. He hesitated, then walked away muttering curses under his breath. The only person he picks on is people he thinks are weak. I ignored him and went to find the stray cat with my carrier. Just as I got him into the carrier, my mom showed up. Well, Leo, now you're brave enough to hit your own father?" I ignored her and carried the cat back to the car. After I had the cat settled, I saw my mom standing by the car. She was staring at the yellow Maserati with a look of excitement and curiosity. "Wow, this car looks expensive. Did Ms. Evans give it to you? You really are my son after all, to catch the eye of a powerful woman like Ms. Evans. After all those years of being pushed around by David and his family, you're finally standing up for yourself. Keep it up. Next year you can drive this car home for the holidays." I opened the car door, got in, and said to her through the window, "Don't even think about it. I'm never coming back to this house again." My mom was stunned. "What did you say? Your father hit you." I didn't. I shook my head. I accepted a long time ago that my dad doesn't like me, but I can't for the life of me understand why you, my own mother, don't love me either. I'm sick and tired of being a pawn in your games against them." My mom was taken aback for a second, then she sneered. "All that education has certainly given you a sharp tongue. Say whatever you want, but you're still my son. You can't just disown me as your mother." I stared at her, and through gritted teeth I said, word for word, "If I had a choice, I would never have been your son." With that, I rolled up the window, started the car, and drove away without looking back. I had long since given up on any hope for family affection, and it seemed I could live perfectly well without it. I brought the stray cat back to Elizabeth's house. "What happened to your face?" The moment she saw me, her eyes filled with concern. I didn't lie to her. I told her the truth. "My dad hit me. It was because David got fired. But don't worry, I punched him back. It scared him off. To commemorate the occasion, I've decided to name this cat Fisty," I said with a forced laugh. She suppressed her anger. "Who's the real son here? What kind of father acts like that?" I gave a helpless smile. "It doesn't matter anymore. I'm never going back to that house anyway. I'm homeless now, so you can't kick me out, otherwise Fisty and I will have to hit the streets together." She laughed. "Nowhere to go? Perfect. That'll save you the trouble of always running away." "I won't," I said seriously. "As long as you don't kick me out, I'm not going anywhere." "Good. Then I can have my fun with you tonight," she said, licking her lips with a wicked smile. I swallowed nervously. "Let's not get too rough. My face still hurts." "Your face hurts? Well then, Tonight I'll just have to give it a nice warm massage for you. That should make it feel better." Then she leaned close to my ear and whispered something. I immediately felt my blood rush to my head and my nose started to bleed. Later, David sent me an iMessage begging me to talk to Elizabeth on his behalf for the sake of family. I scoffed at that. Who the hell do you think you are calling us family? For someone so shameless, I just blocked his number. I didn't want to waste another word on him. The fact that he'd spread rumors about Elizabeth became a black mark on his record. No one else in the industry would hire him. He was too proud to work for a smaller company, so he just stayed at home doing nothing. Later, somehow, he ended up in Florida and got involved in a pyramid scheme. His beloved nephew scammed my dad out of a lot of money, and my dad's blood pressure went through the roof from the stress. My mom texted me, "Your father absolutely despises David now. That animal David scammed us out of all our savings. I'm going to divorce your father." I couldn't be bothered to respond. They were irrelevant people. They could do whatever they wanted. I was busy finishing my thesis project, a diamond ring I called Eternal Love. It was also the ring I planned to use to propose to Elizabeth one day. Finally, in early May, I finished it. On May 2nd, Elizabeth and I were having dinner at home together. Halfway through the meal, she suddenly excused herself to go to the restroom. When she returned, she had changed into a white evening gown. She took out a small box and opened it. Set on a simple white gold band was a pale, ice blue diamond. It was a type of diamond so pure and colorless it looked like a drop of water. "I designed this myself with a little guidance from Alexander," she said. "It's called the Leo," she explained, a rare look of shyness and nervousness on her face. "Leo, I want to marry you. I want to be able to hear you sing 'Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star' to me every night for the rest of our lives. Will you?" I also pulled out a ring box, opened it, and revealed a red diamond ring lying inside. "Elizabeth, this was my thesis project. It's also the engagement ring I designed myself. It's called Eternal Love, and it belongs to you." Elizabeth covered her mouth with her hands and started to cry. We each slipped our rings onto the other's finger. After a short, sweet kiss, she asked with a smile, "Leo, where did you get a red diamond?" I smiled. "I borrowed it from your brother Alexander. I'll pay him back when I can afford it." That little sneak. So he knew all along that we were both secretly planning this. Fate may not have given me a loving family, but it gave me the most beautiful love I could have ever asked for. I am content, and I am so grateful, thankful that I was given a second chance to meet her.